Hi, I'm Mrs. Atkinson, and I am reading Chapter 6, No Place Like Home. Ashley glanced out the window as she stood in her kitchen. Every window in her house had the same view, a fenced-in pasture with animals peacefully grazing. She placed a plate of pancakes in front of Deacon where he sat at his kid-sized table. Then Ashley sat down at the kitchen table to quickly enjoy a piece of toast. Deacon was the first of many she needed to feed this morning. After the humans were taken care of, she'd move on to everyone else who lived inside her house right now. First, there were the pets, Milo and Otis, the orange and gray cats, and Gia, the German shepherd. She gave a bowl of food to Brown, the Great Dane. He was a special needs dog. He was half the size of a typical Great Dane because he had a form of dwarfism, just as Pumpkin did. He hadn't started walking until just after his 6-month birthday. Ashley was told he would probably live to be only 8 months old, but now he was 2 years old and doing great. In the beginning, she had to carry him up and down the stairs and even help him stand up after he sat down, every time. But slowly he gained more strength. One day he just walked up the 3 steps on her deck by himself. No one could believe it. At this point, he was doing everything on his own. She hoped that someday Pumpkin could have an equally happy ending as Brown. Next, she checked on the varying rotation of rescue animals who lived in her home. Some animals needed to stay inside for a short period of time before they could be moved to the barn or out to a pasture. In any given week, it could range from a tiny piglet to a long-legged lamb. Deacon was growing up the way Ashley had always dreamed of, surrounded by animals. Ashley grew up in a city, not on a farm. As a kid in Philadelphia, she rescued pigeons and stray cats. She'd clearly always been a lover of all kinds of creatures, but she didn't see a farm animal in person until she was much older. Deacon was having a very different childhood from her own. Deacon had had animal friends at his side since birth. When Ashley was pregnant, Milo and Otis slept on her belly all the time. So when her newborn boy arrived, the cats were already attached to him. At that same time, a baby goat was also living inside their home. Ashley alternated between bottle feeding a baby human and a baby goat. It was as though she had twins. And when she took Deacon for a walk in his stroller, a goat, not a dog, was trotting alongside Mom and baby. Around Deacon's first birthday, Ashley introduced him to the other farm animals on the property. She was amazed at how the horses reacted to Deacon, especially the ones who had been abused and neglected. They were usually incredibly fearful of humans, but when they saw baby Deacon, they had a completely different reaction than when they saw an adult. One of the horses who wouldn't even come near people would gallop over to Deacon and stick his head over the fence. It was as if he could sense that Deacon only wanted to be friends, and that the little boy had so much love in his heart. The animals were immediately drawn to Deacon. Ashley had taken horseback riding lessons as a child, but she didn't get her first horse until she was 22. That was about the same time she started working as a veterinary technician, where she cared for a lot of farm animals like chickens and turkeys. She began to realize that horses and chickens and turkeys weren't so different from cats or dogs. They all showed love and wanted to be treated kindly, and they even had their own funny personalities. She began to stop thinking of animals as farm animals and pets, and decided all animals deserved a chance to be treated equally and have a loving home. 10 years later, she was now the owner of an animal sanctuary that gave many different types of animals a chance to live long, happy lives. Ashley hoped that one day she could open her sanctuary to visitors. She especially wanted elementary school children to be able to meet farm animals and see that they were just like any other pets. She knew meeting these animals would have an effect on them the way it did on her. She knew that all animals deserved kindness, and she wanted to help show people that. After all the animals in the house had their breakfast, Ashley slipped into her hot pink rubber boots. The spotted cows that were printed on the sides of the boots were almost completely covered by mud. Caring for animals was messy work, and these boots had become like a uniform for her. Ashley walked toward the barn, breathing in the crisp air. Pumpkin and Thea were nestled together in their pen. She was so thankful that their previous owner was willing to surrender the both of them so Mom and Baby could be kept together. Hopefully, she'd hear from Derek soon about the status of Pumpkin's updated braces. There were a handful of other animals who needed to be fed in the barn, and then she would venture around the property to tend to the others. Then they'd drive to a second property with more of her rescues. In total, there were about 30 animals that she and Deacon would care for today. It was overwhelming, but she couldn't imagine doing anything else.